Hello, everyone. We are officially live. Thank you for everyone that has joined us so far. We are going to give a few minutes for all the stragglers to get in. So if you need to grab that one last refill of coffee or water or whatever you need to be able to sit back, relax, and enjoy our webinar, then do that now because we have a jam-packed agenda for you today. So again, for those joining, we're just going to wait a couple more minutes and then we will get right into it.
Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. I do see a few more people joining, and just as people join, I'm going to let you know that we do have a chat here. So I will say hello, everyone. And you can chat directly to everyone in the webinar, or you can send something just to the moderators, which would be us. And we also have a questions module down there as well. So you can write any questions in there. We'll get to those at the end. We will have a Q&A session. So definitely make use of the chat, make use of those questions down there. No question is too small for us. This is really a great opportunity for everyone to be able to get to know us. We really want those questions from you, so don't be shy for sure. I think we can give it maybe one more minute and see who else pops in before we begin. And also just a reminder that we are going to be recording this. It is currently recording right now. So if for whatever reason you have to hop off, even though we do want you to stay live, then we will be sending out the recording afterward. So don't worry about missing anything. Again, I think we'll just give it another minute or two, see if how many more people hop on. But I will remind about the chat and the questions. Like, this is a community that we have here, so please make use of all of those. I'm going to start sharing my screen. And I think we can give about one more minute. Peter and Troy, you see my screen okay?
Yep. Yes.
Excellent. Well, it is.
Hey, Nate.
Hello to everyone. I see a lot of familiar names on there. I don't want to call everyone out, but you know who you are. I think that we could at least get started with some introductions. So another reminder, please make use of the chat, make use of the Q&A here. We really want to be able to interact with you as much as possible. And of course, you can always email us after the fact. Again, we are recording this. So if you have to hop off for whatever reason, totally fine. We will be sending out the recording afterward. And, you know, if you want to watch it again, then that's great too. So I think we can get started with some intros now. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. This is our first webinar of hopefully many. And we're excited to take you behind the scenes of MediaViz AI. So today we're not only going to be showing you what's new, but we really hope to give you a clear picture of MediaViz AI, who we are, what we do. We're constantly innovating, we're continuously building, finding smarter solutions for you. So today you'll get to take a look at some of those. So with me, I have our fearless leader, Troy DeBrawl. He is our founder and CEO. You will hear from him directly today. So say hello, Troy.
Hello.
Thank you. And we also have Peter. He is our head of sales. So if you have had the pleasure of having any calls with MediaViz, then they have likely been with Peter, and he will be the person that you'll likely be speaking with after this as well. If there is anything to come out of this, we really want this to be a review of everything that we do. So we're hoping that this can spark some interest in you. And again, if you want to see a personalized demo, then we can do that for you. So say hello, Peter.
Hello, Peter.
Thank you. And then last but certainly not least, my name is Sarah LaFay and I run our marketing here. So I will be moderating this webinar, but you will be hearing from both Troy and Peter for just various things so that you can get to know us better.
Awesome.
And on today's agenda, we will be sharing our vision. So again, we really want you to get to know us through this webinar, and Troy will be sharing really the basis of what we do, why we started, and then we can give you an overview of what's new. So of course, you're probably interested in what we've come out with in the past month. We've definitely been making a huge push for that because there's some really amazing work that our team has been doing. But then you can put it all together when we show you a direct demo. We'll be using our online demo tool that can be both a production application and also a way to visualize the API. And then last but definitely not least is our live Q&A. So again, use that. There's that questions module on the bottom right of your screen, I believe. And that is where you can ask us any question. We'll be trying to get to all of them today live. But if we do run over time, then of course we'll reach out at the end and make sure that you have all of your questions answered. So definitely make use of that before we move on. So now I'm going to hand it over to Troy, and he's really going to get into the story of MediaViz and why we're all here today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate that. And thank you, everybody, for joining. It's great to have everybody on and be able to tell the MediaViz story a little bit. And if you're here today, you probably share the common problem that we saw in our friends and family in the market that really drove us to create MediaViz AI. And that is too many photos, too many videos, too many pieces of multimedia to either handle or deal with efficiently. And as we have outlined on screen, across the board, we see multimedia in every single industry, not only existing and proliferating, but really growing at a scale that isn't handleable unless you have some sort of automation or you just have a ton of people to throw at the problem. You know, even in the stock photography industry, I think that puts there around 300 million photos that are live out there. Well, that suggests that there were billions of photos taken to get those selects to put into those stock photography agencies. And those are problems that we want to help the world deal with. So, Sarah, can you go on to the next one? So, as it says, the problem isn't search. The problem isn't too many images. The problem is an AI that doesn't see the way that you do. Because if you're going to get down to managing multimedia in a more efficient way or a more personalized way, we need an AI that sees like you do. And we don't mean from the perspective of taking over and having full human cognition. We mean that evaluating multimedia is a process that we can break down into a structure and understand how individuals do those particular things, whether it's evaluating aesthetics or evaluating composition or what type of subject matter is important to them. There's a finite number of elements that go into the mix when you're evaluating a photo in a collection of 10 or a photo in a collection of 1,000. And we realized that we needed a system that could do that. That could not only evaluate multimedia, but get to know the person that it was evaluating multimedia for and try and take on their perspective so it could do as close of a job as possible to doing it like they would, which enables, when you combine it with elements like speed, to do things that we could never do before. Go through 100,000 photos in an hour and keyword them all. Go through tens of thousands of photos in a few minutes and curate them. And that's what we're here for, to bring a solution to the market that can do all of those things, hopefully, from your and your organization's perspective. You on, Sarah? And that's what we're building, an AI that understands and adapts to visual content. The back end of MediaViz AI is a content perception system, an artificial intelligence that not only understands how to give analytics to images, but understands how to understand that image relative to a whole collection. So it can make much better inferences and decisions like you would. Go on. MediaViz AI is a platform at its base. We like to say that we make products better. We like to say that we can make amazing apps. We like to say that we're a data company at our core, but really we're a platform that does all of those things and is really centered around human-centric visual intelligence with an API that allows you to hook into it and run automated management and multimedia processes at scale, do that very quickly, and get data and intelligence out of the system that you can't get anywhere else in the market. And really our basis in that personalized angle is trying to make sure that each and every decision we make in the context of a photo collection is really based on some understanding of how that collection was put together first. So learning from the collection, personalizing our results afterwards. So what makes MediaViz AI different? AI is everywhere today, right? It's seeped its way into every app that you can think of. We were an AI company, I think, before that meant a lot of things to people, which was great because we got to learn a lot about our core condition, which is how do we do something like a person is going to do it? We created the MediaViz AI platform and system to automate with a personalized angle as many multimedia management and analysis and curation tasks as we could, because as we looked at the market, we realized whether you're sorting 1,000 photos for yourself and trying to make a photo book for a family event or a friend, or you're trying to sort through and organize hundreds of millions of photos, the problems are common. You have to get an understanding of that individual photograph. You have to do it at a speed where it makes sense for whatever process that you are trying to accomplish. And you have to look beyond what most systems out there in the market today look at, which is just aesthetics. Our system certainly considers aesthetics, but we go beyond that. We not only adapt to the personalized elements inside any photo collection or any organized professional collection, but we look at aesthetics and composition and subject matter and how that subject matter relates to all the other subject matter in the collection, so we can understand relativity. We really put a heavy index on uniqueness, both trying to understand, because of the way people take photos today, what's the most unique and best photo in this series of photos, is whether we're taking a professional stock shoot and taking 20 or 30 photos trying to get that right perfect stock photo, or whether we're at a birthday party and we're taking 10 photos because we really want to get that memory right. You have to be able to understand that those are contextual to each other, and there's probably a best and most unique photo in that series. So whether we're doing that or we're trying to look through somebody's family collection and understand that this one picture that is kind of grainy of an elderly lady, although it isn't anything like the rest of the photos in the collection, it's important because of its uniqueness. So our system looks at all of those elements, aesthetics, composition, subject matter, uniqueness, obviously the underlying collection and its context, to make its decisions in a really personalized way. And to access this platform, we set up a couple of different ways. So I said, you do have, or as Sarah said, you do have an app that you can access and try out the system or even use, or we have a full featured enterprise API that allows you to easily go through our API documentation, see what the system's going to do for you, and easily integrate into your systems. And all of this is really driven by our pursuit of business outcomes. We want to help businesses be more efficient and do their current processes and services more efficiently to create value, but also, and this is the special part for us, help create new products and services, both with our personalized curation and the speed of our platform that just aren't possible before, and really create something new and beneficial for everybody that has to deal with multimedia management. Go on. And how we do that really is the backbone of our IP. And I like to say our intellectual property and how it's been applied in the market, really is the special thing we bring to the market. But that's just a reflection of our people. So it's our people that really make, I think, MediaViz AI special, and their dedication to making a system that can personalize itself to any collection and allows a really unique thing to happen then. That collection can be personalized, it can be AI analyzed, but it's also private and secure, allowing a personalized AI to be assigned to each and every photo collection in our platform so that each collection gets its own personal AI. And all the data that is trained on, all the data that is assigned to those photos, all stays within that closed loop, private and secure. Please go on. We'll stay on that for just a moment. Privacy and data security is really the most important thing for us. Whether we're dealing with an enterprise archive of the brand new photos from a shoot, or a sporting event, or somebody's personal collection from a professional photo organizer, that's valuable content and it needs to be protected. And that's really our number one concern, not only making sure that that data is encrypted everywhere it goes and can't be accessed, but it's only shared with you or the people that you share it with. And to do that, we have flexible pricing plans for everybody. Whether you have a small amount of photos that you really just want to get done and get done right and get done quickly, or whether you have a huge amount, millions of photos, and you need to find a way to analyze and curate those very efficiently. We have pricing tiers and plans that'll fit both of those and every use case in between. And to do that, we offer easy integration. As I said, you can use our apps. Those will process hundreds of thousands, millions of photos, or you can use our API and customize that experience to yourself and what you do with your data as well. And our AI ultimately is not only adaptable, personalized to your collection, and really interested in making the best decisions and analysis for that one collection only, but it's configurable also. We have a full set of models that whether you're using our apps or whether you're using the API, you can choose which models and which analytics get applied to your photos. So you're always in control with MediaViz AI. I think that's one of our central and core goals, making sure that you're not only in control of the process, but you're in control of your data and ultimately in the great outcomes that you can get from our API.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Troy. That was a really great rundown of MediaViz. And of course, again, if there are any questions about anything that Troy has covered, then please put them in the Q&A and we will get to those at the end. So now we can really get into the exciting stuff about what's new at MediaViz. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because Peter will be showing all of this in a demo, but these are some of the main points about the newest release that we've done with MediaViz. So our team has worked really hard to make MediaViz faster than ever. We are 10 times faster than we were before, and speed is something, as Troy was saying, that is so important to us. So we can now process 60,000 images on average per hour per AI node. And that, of course, depends on what you're expecting to get out of the system. We also have our updated similarity detection that Troy also was mentioning before, but you can compare that one image against 1 million others. So whether it's finding duplicates, finding sets of images and choosing the best out of those, we can do that very quickly and automatically for you. We're also doing that continuous learning and that personalized AI that Troy mentioned as well. So this is an optional addition to our system. It does happen automatically in the app, but it takes into account all the things that it learns from different collections so that it can do a personalized output, which Peter will be showing you during his demo. We also have some really great label improvements as well. So we're improving that accuracy, the number of labels, which labels we're choosing. We want to be more than just object detection. We want to be able to show all of the contents so that you can get those labels being really accurate and then utilize them in the way that you would like, whether it's keywords, whether it's utilizing them to make specific albums, different things like that. You can do all of that with our labeling. We also have the capability to embed metadata directly into the photos. So again, it is totally up to you how you would like to work with the data in your images, but we do have the capability within the API to put all of that right into the image so it stays with the image and then is carried wherever it goes. And then lastly, we have our upgraded API. So we've been working on our documentation, on implementation, and ultimately we're just the partner for you. So if you do decide to move forward with our enterprise level API, we want to be there with you every step of the way. We become your partner and we can go over the implementation, what you need to do that, and make sure that you have everything that you need there. So that is really the basis of what's new. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pass it over to Peter for our live demo.
Sounds great. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Troy. And thanks, everybody, for joining us today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you into the app. What the app is going to do is show you a little bit of where that backbone of content perception comes from and how it's deriving some of its choices along the way, showing you a little bit more of the guts of it. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into the app here. Give me a second to share my screen and we'll walk you through everything. Waiting for it. 1 second. Of course, this is the This is the curse of the demo. Let me just try that one more time.
This is a live webinar, everyone. We are real people. We're here completely live, mistakes and all.
There we go. Now we've got it. All right. Welcome to the MediaViz app. All of you, because I can't hear you, tell me that you can see my screen.
I can
thank
see
you
your
very
screen.
much. So what you're looking at is our application that brings in a lot of the things that our API provides. I want to stress that for you enterprise users especially, that you're seeing a piece of the data that is actually being derived from your images. So in many ways, we started the app as a sales tool, as a way to show you what MediaViz AI is actually doing. But as it's developed and as it's gotten higher and higher functioning, we're seeing lots of people that are starting to utilize it all on its own, not just as something to demonstrate what the API can do. So let me walk through things with you. First thing I'm going to point out is you see the word all collections there in the center of the screen. A collection is just that, a group of photos, a gallery, a selection, a collection, whatever you want to call it. We call it collections. So what I'm going to walk you through firstly is how to make a collection right from scratch. So let's do that right now without further ado. So let's take this and we're going to call it the webinar. What a creative name. I should have come up with something better, but you know what? I think that's pretty descriptive. You can add a description here if you wish. You don't have to, but you can. And then we start getting into the various models. This is where we're starting to access some of the magic of what MediaViz can do. We have the ability of adding in curation model. Curation model is what's actually going to go through and after analyzing the photos, will decide and recommend for you what are the most meaningful images in a complete collection or in a subsection of that collection being set up by, say, activities, birthdays, animals in the pictures, anything along that lines. And this is a model that we're continuing to develop where you can start to get into more and more segregation of them and therefore curation of that segregated model. Similarity detection is a very important part of what we do. What it is allowing images that are very similar to be curated individually as a selection of similar images, but also as part of the whole collection. So if you have a scenario where you've got 25 images that are really, really close, you don't want, but they're really beautiful photos. You don't want those 25 necessarily to be 25 of the best images in that collection. You'd like to pick the best of those similarities. So with that in mind, we've got 3 different similarity detection models. You've got high similarity they have to be very, very similar in order to be grouped as similar. You've got similar moments where things are close. And then you've got near duplicates where it's really got to be very much the same. I'm going to just stick with high similarities for right now. Color detection, tagging all the most prominent colors. It utilizes color hexes, allows you to then identify what are the basis or the biased colors within an image. Face detection. Face detection is something that is being advanced all the time. Right now, it's detecting faces, different faces. Our next step, which is about to be released, is also personhood, where it can then identify those faces and all the other images within that collection. Of course, image classification or tagging and blur detection that assists you in deciding what the quality level of the images are. So let's move on through that and create that collection. So as you can see now, we've got a card that's saying the webinar one is just awaiting an upload. So let's go on in there and take a look. Right now, there's nothing. You can see we're getting prepared for it. But let's now open up the desktop and we're going to load the images. Now, you may ask, why did I have to open the desktop? Utilizing the desktop uploader as a part of our system allows us to start to really increase these speeds to where we're at now, where we're getting into 60,000 images per hour. Running it through a web, we're limited by the uploader in the browser. this way allows us to do it at a much faster rate. So I have a selection of images. I'm going to select that photo or that folder, and it's going to give you some dialogue back saying, hey, you got 398 pictures in this. Would you like to process them? I'm going to say, go ahead. What a surprise. And now what it's doing is starting to prepare the images and start to upload them. You can see the speed that's going on. It's uploading them as we're talking right now. And you can see in the background where the actual application is that the webinar collection hasn't started doing any kind of photo analysis. Why? Because it's uploading. So as you can see here, we had 400 images, and we are, if I can slow this sentence down enough, going to do it before I'm done talking. How about that?
I think
So
that was
it's
like
finished.
23 seconds, Peter.
Hey, that's pretty good. Automatically refreshed. You see we've got 398 down on the bottom. You can see that we're already 50% through the analysis. I'm going to just refresh the screen here, and we'll see where we're at. Open up the webinar. If perchance the images are not done at this point, you would get a dialogue at the bottom. And sometimes, of course, if you're loading thousands of images at a time, it can take a few extra minutes. So now we are looking at the entire collection, the images, thumbnails of all the pictures here, and you can see all of them. Any of these images I can jump into. So let's jump into this one. And along the right-hand side, you see the image come up, you see the file name, and you see the narrative labels. So here, what you're seeing is our high confidence labels. That number beside the label is letting you know that the AI has considered this to be a very important. It's very confident that there are people in here. It's very confident that they are sitting, that there's sky, that there's water, that they're doing yoga, that they're probably on a vacation, so on and so forth. We also collect a number of other pieces of data based on high confidence, but not as high. So we're at 90% in here, and we also then show you the lower confidence, all things that could have some relevance on the image, but we're not quite as confident. You see that the number there, the number represents percentage. So you see here, this is 73% confident that they're wearing active pants. I'd say I'm about 90% confident that they are. How many faces are detected? We've got 2 faces in the image, and the blur level is very low. We show the top colors, and the colors, a lot of that can be utilized towards trying to target, if you're into selling certain components against some of these photos, being able to target color schemes to match in with whatever you're building for this client is a very powerful tool to have at your disposal. So as you can see, as we go through, we can then move on to another one. We've got all that data on any of those images. Now you start getting into some of the fun stuff. Let's start taking a look at what the system thinks are the best images. So as we go through here, it's selecting these ones as the best. And let's go down, because I know there was some similar ones. Here we go. Down here, you see we have 2 similar photos. It's identified this. So if we go in, we can see that these 2 photos very similar, but the system has chosen this one as the best of those 2. We come back out. We can also then, let me get back to best photos again. Oh, we're already in there. Let me see if we've got any other similars in this model. I know there were some more down there, but you get the idea. And that can really add, especially in a scenario, let's say where you're doing portraits, where you have a large number of similar photos that it has to select between. The system can do a great job of bringing that into play. Now we start getting into subsections. So one is filtered by month. If you've got date information, then you'd be able to filter that way. But then you get into curated ones. Let's go and take a look at animals. Who doesn't love animals? This is going to identify all the images that have animals in it. And you can see it's done a very fine job of that. I was worried about this one, but there's horses back there. So it's done everything correct. So then we've got 55 images. Let's see what the best photos of those 55 are. And it's made its selection there. We can also see the worst images. And, you might disagree with some of those. In our next iteration of the app, you can also go in and tell the system, no, you know what? I don't think this one is the worst photo. I think that's one of the best photos. So onwards, as you can see, you've got a number of different ways to curate the images and see see these subsections of them, and then also identify the best images. We've found that usually it's somewhere in the middle, or somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15% of the images are the best, 15% are the worst, and then the rest fall somewhere in the middle. So it is divided that way. If you are going into our API, you can get the total sequence of it and pull out exactly what components of the best or how you want to segregate them. Now, I wanted to show you a couple of different things that are also available through this app as far as ways that you can utilize some of these. So number one is on top of, we can also output a CSV of all the data attached to it, all the keywords that we're talking about, all the color hexes, everything. So if I go in here, I can now download a CSV that contains all of that data. So let's just take a look here, and we'll open that up and show you what's actually there. As we go through here, you have the file name, you've got the path of where it lives, you've got the various hashes attached to the color schemes, as well as evidence models. And again, this is where the app shows you some of what can happen through the API. With the API, not only can you get this data, but you can also get the data that comprises that. So if you want to get into some real data science, you can dig an awful lot deeper. And then as you go further along, you can see all the labels are listed here along with their confidence scores. So a lot of powerful things that can then be imported into an alternate system if that's what you're looking to do. You have people that are doing photo organizing. Something like this can bring into a digital asset management system. Something like this can be brought in for stock companies to enable them to enhance their searching capabilities by using more and more of these automated labels. In many cases, stock agencies, you guys are entering all this data either by photographer or by staff on site. Here we can automate it, and then you're in a situation where you just have to go in and you don't have to. You can go in and edit as you see fit. This data here then can be imported into your system. Alternately, you can also bypass the idea of going through that data and simply write the metadata. And this, as you can see, is walking through now and writing metadata, all of this information into, or all of the keyword information directly into the image. And you can see, not quite as fast as the uploader, but it's actually changing all these files as you go. Let me go through here. We'll just let it get a little bit further, and let's get info and see if we've got this one. Yeah, here we go. You can see now all the keywords that have been added directly in to the metadata of the image. This particular job had no metadata before, so all the keywords have been added. But it's important for you to be aware as well that if there was already keywords, if there already was metadata, it's an additive system. It's not going to overwrite anything along the way. So as you can see, it's a very powerful tool that is continuing to advance as we continue to develop. And there's a number of different ways that you can go in and work with it. So I will stop sharing here and see if there's any questions from the group.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peter. That was a great demo. And of course, I want to point out that this is a demo for a webinar. And if you were to book a demo directly with Peter himself, we are going to make sure that it is optimized and tweaked directly for your business so that you can see even more use cases. So definitely keep that in mind. We'd love to hear from you. But as we're waiting for a few more questions to come in, was there anything else that you wanted to add there, Troy? Otherwise, I can jump right into some of the questions that we have.
The only thing I would add there is, and this would be great from everybody that's attending today, we're looking for feedback from you, specifically you. And, especially some of those ending pieces to the app that Peter just showed. How do you get my data out of the system? How do I start to work with it? We're looking for feedback and input from you of how would you configure that if you could make that a configurable system? Because we see that need not only in the app, but if you can configure the front of our system, we want you to be able to do that on the back end as well. So looking to connect with some of you to ask questions about that.
Definitely. Thank you, Troy. So I will start with the first question, and it's about implementation, which I think just brings us right into a great discussion. So what does implementation typically look like for a company that would want to use the MediaViz API?
Great question. So the API has been set up to be as user-friendly as possible and really allow you to dissect the data that we produce for any photo in a variety of ways. With our help, you could probably set up a connection directly into the API and integrate it in a couple hours. And integrating it by yourself is a couple-day process at most. So simple actions and simple directions in the API documentation of how to get to just the data that you want and simplify that process.
Excellent. And we do have a question that looks like from probably a photo management side. So hello to everyone that came from the photo managers. It's great to see you here. So they're wondering about how it would help date scanned photos, which I know that we have mentioned in various photo manager webinars and marketing materials. So maybe we can speak a little bit to the other application that we also have.
Sure, and that's a good segue. So we do have a variety of different systems, and not all of that data is built into the MediaViz AI platform. Some of it exists as standalone products. So we do have a product called imagekeywording.com that is set up just for that. It's an AI that is tuned to be able to predict what decade a photo was taken in, and if there's any landmarks in the background, predict the location of that photo as well. But that system and that data, we're actually looking to get a little bit more feedback from the photo organizer community before we bring it into the main platform. So if you have any questions or would like to use that and get a sample of that particular system, let us know. We'll get you some access, and we're looking for feedback now on that.
Totally. And I just did a little drop of Peter's email in the chat. So peter@mediaviz.ai. So if anyone wants to learn more about that or anything else that we're talking about, I'm going to put Peter as your guy. I have another question here. So can MediaViz be customized at all? That I think is a loaded question.
Well, MediaViz and the platform and everything inside of it can be configured quite heavily. We also offer customization services, but not directly into the platform itself. But if you have a custom problem that you want to solve in multimedia AI, we're certainly happy to talk about that.
Excellent. Yes, there's just so much that you can do with this platform. And we do understand that everyone is different, has different use cases, different needs. So I will repeat again, like we really want to be your partners in this. When it comes to data, as far as imagery, we are your partner. Another question, are you doing anything with video or is it just still photos? Which I love this question because we can potentially talk about some fun things that are coming.
So that is a great question. So certainly what we recognize and central to all these different processes is photos and videos. They're not only related, but sometimes batched into the exact same locations on a hard drive and taken at the same moment at XYZ event. So yes, video is very much in our future. That's one of the patents that we talked about actually earlier in the presentation that we have entered, and we're just waiting to hear back on that. So we're very excited about it. But we are expecting video to come to the platform very soon, and are going to start working on that this summer with hopefully getting to something to market around end of the year, first part of 2026.
And we've already heard requests for this as well. So definitely our roadmap is built upon feedback from our customers and people within the industry. So we've already heard requests for picking the best portions of video, picking the best stills from video. These are all things that are kind of, I guess, swirling around out there. So if there's anything specific, then we definitely want to hear about that as well.
Absolutely.
It looks like our questions are slowing down, but unless anyone has anything else, I think the last thing that we can cover is just what is the cost. So Troy, I know that you mentioned during your portion that, we want to work with you. We have a variety of different ways that we can slice and dice, but is there just to close us out, is there anything left to say on that topic?
Peter?
Yep, for sure. I can speak on that. Basically, if you are coming in and you just want to play with a few images, firstly, because of the fact that we are a younger organization, we want to let you try it, and we want to get your feedback. So in all cases, I'm happy to give you a number of images to try on your own at no charge, because we want to see, are we doing the right thing? Are we building the right product? And are we giving you the right results? Number two, when it comes to cost, in a lot of volume levels, we're looking at around 5 cents an image for analyzing those images. If you get into larger volumes where you've got some expectant numbers that sort of what's going to be coming in or can give us an idea of that, then we can start talking license fees instead of per image costs. Or we can also look at giving volume discounts based on an expected number of images per year. All of that we can discuss in a lot more detail. We are very transparent with our pricing. So when it comes down to actually talking and getting numbers for you, we'll give you everything in writing, and we'll explain exactly where it's coming from. So lots of good variance there as to how you can charge out for the product. We want to be a partner with you, and we want the things that we're providing to bring in more revenue for you. So we want to work with you.
Well said, Peter. Well, I will give one more moment for any last minute questions, but if anything comes up after this webinar, then you have Peter's email, peter@mediaviz.ai. Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn as well. We're always open to chatting really anywhere. But I guess I will leave everyone with one last thank you for coming to our first webinar. We will have many more in the future, but we've just been so excited to share what we're working on and give a great introduction to MediaViz. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.